What's up, everybody? I'm Keisha G, and this is Another Black Girl. This is my space where I'm highlighting the passions, pursuits, and general excellence of other Black women and girls that I think are doing dope things in the world. I guarantee if you know one amazing Black woman, she knows another 5, 6, 7, 8 that are great too. And today I have another one of the great Black women that inspires and delights me. It makes me crack up. And it's just a badass. Nekia Hampton is in the house today. What's up, Nekia?
Hey!
We are going to have a great time. I already know it. Before we get into me asking you a whole bunch of questions and getting into your business, I'm going to read the people your bio so they understand who you are and what you're about. So, Nekia Hampton is a stand-up comedian, producer, and your newest best friend. That is the truth. In less than 2 years, she has performed on numerous stages around the country, including the Northwest Women's Comedy Festival in Portland in 2018 and the Black Girl Giggles Festival in New Orleans in 2019. Nekia has opened the stage for national headliners like Paul Elias, Jared Freed, Jackie Fabulous, and Jordan Rock. She produced and headlined not one, but 2 successful comedy shows, one in Seattle in August of 2019. I'll talk about that. It was a black-tastic good time. And one in Baltimore in February of 2020. And now y'all know the Rona is here, so we got time to find out what she's been up to since then. Both of those shows that Nekia produced sold out. She does not ask for permission in life. She feels the true meaning of life is being authentic and loving the skin you're in. This is a woman who lives out loud and suggests you do the same. So now I'm sure y'all can understand why I had to have more of a conversation with Nekia. Everybody in the digital atmosphere, give it up for one of West Baltimore's finest creations. Nekia. Oh,
yay!
Yes, so I'm sure people who know me can figure out from this bio that we met in the comedy scene in Seattle. Mm-hmm. But before we get into how we both, found our place in that intersection, I want to hear a little bit about the Nekia before the comedy career began. I want to actually hear about like young girl Nekia. What was your childhood like?
Well, so my mom was a stand-up comedian. So, and my uncle still is. He still does stand-up, and there's a few members of my family that do stand-up. So, really, one of my earliest memories was seeing my mom on stage, making people laugh. Everybody's looking at her, just commanding attention. So I thought that was like regular. Like I thought like, oh, okay, like at some point in life, you just get on stage and you be talking and people want to look at you and it just is what it is. And my family just kind of, we're all entertainers in that way. Like, I was on the choir as a kid and it's like me, my sister, we're 18 months apart. And then my cousin, she's like 2 months older than me. So we all were like triplets, really. They would call us the triplets. And we were really heavy in church. So once they learned that we could sing, like my mother used to make us sing all the time. Like she was our manager. She would take us to, we had gigs. One time we did my great aunt's New Year's Eve party. And that was like the first time that I actually had like real champagne. And mind you, we like probably like 12 at the time.
I was just about to ask how old you were.
We were really young.
She's 12 years old. I was sipping champagne when she thirsty.
Yes, it was like, and it was so cool because it was at a hotel. So they got us our like own hotel room to change and get ready. It all started because we did, the school that I went to have a 50s like party. So we got these outfits made that looked like we were in the 50s. And this is around the time that Dreamgirls came out. So we would just naturally be singing that song anyway. Like we would sing, move, move, move right out of my life. So that was like a whole thing. And we did it like one time for my grandmother. And next thing you know, we was like performing all over the city, doing the dance and singing. And then it turned into like gospel music. And so really like my whole childhood was a lot of performing. And even when we're not physically on stage, just being around my family is like a show. Like everybody is crazy. It's always jokes all the time. I really thought that everybody's family was funny. Like I thought every time people get together, they'd be cracking jokes on each other. and all that type of stuff. So I would go around other people and their families be all quiet, nobody saying nothing, and like
this
I'm just
family's
like,
broken.
yeah, like what's wrong with y'all? Like, ain't this like a normal thing for everybody? So that's just kind of how it was for me growing up. It just was like, my mom is an artist. She's an actress. She's really into theater. She writes plays. So there was always this need to like express ourselves, and she always let us know that that's okay to do. Like, and so it was nice seeing her have all these outlets. So then me growing up, it's like, oh, okay, like you can actually like do this stuff as an adult. Like, it's okay to be an artist. It's okay to be a creator, a creative, and really express yourself through those type of avenues or whatever. So
what a great example for your mom. I love when you said you grew up thinking everybody's mom be on stage having this kind of shine. Like, that has a real, like, that is, some people grew up saying everybody's mama only cooks and cleans. And you was like, no, mama stands on stage and commands a room. Yes. Do you think that plays into kind of how bold you are today? Because I feel like that's a bold example to grow up seeing your mom on stage telling jokes.
Yeah, it definitely allowed me to like seeing my mom be that bold, and even when she's not on stage, she's that bold. Like she does a lot of work around race, and so she's always talking about things that a lot of people are afraid to talk about, and so that definitely gave me the confidence to be like, hey, sometimes you gotta say what you gotta say, and people may not like it, but it's the truth, and y'all need to know what I'm dealing with. And that's kind of how I felt when I was in Seattle, and I was like, maybe I really should start stand up, because like I was just like viewing the world through my eyes, and I'm like, I think other people, you know, should know like what it's like being a young Black girl like me from West Baltimore that moved out here, and you know, for love. I wasn't even doing it because I went to school or nothing like that. I just wanted to get out of Baltimore. So like, I just was like, hey, like, I think maybe it would help me to release my experiences for other people and maybe help them get through some stuff too.
Yeah, shining the light. I love it. What happened in between seeing mom on stage and then deciding to, you know, really go for comedy when you, much later, when you got to be your own grown up?
You know, it's funny. A lot of it was like, I was always a funny kid. Like, I would make jokes all the time, and everybody knew that, you know, I was goofy and silly and just would do whatever, like prank a lot. I used to prank my mother and my sister all the time. I'd really do anything to make people laugh. Like one time, this was when people could like, when people had like songs as ringtones and you could like record them yourself. So there was this one song that my mother really wanted to be her ringtone. She asked us every day, like, can you just put the song on so I can have it as my ringtone? And I was like, okay, I got you. And I literally went upstairs. I went upstairs and like sung the song and recorded it and put it on as her ringtone. And I was like, I got it. I put the song on there. And she like played it. And it was just me singing. And like, it's just like silly stuff like that I would do all the time.
That's adorable.
As I got older, I kind of, I spent a lot of time in relationships, honestly. Like I dated really young. I was like in a really serious relationship when I was like 15. And that kind of, I was putting a lot of my energy into other people. So I was always trying to like help my boyfriend or help my friends do this. And I wasn't really focusing on myself at all. Like I was always like good at school and stuff, but I was never doing anything like extra special for myself. I was always trying to help other people, like, you know, get their shit together. So it really wasn't until when I went to college and like I said, I was ready to just leave Baltimore because I've been here my whole life. I lived here. I was raised here. I know everybody is so small. The city is very small. So I just kind of felt like something needs to change. I need to shake something up because honestly, I thought I was going to get pregnant. I was like, I need to leave. If I don't leave Baltimore City, I'm going to get pregnant. And, you know, that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But I just felt like there was more things out there for me before that happened.
Yeah, it totally shifts your life when that happens.
Yeah.
So I feel like young women get this double message of, you know, we're kind of marketed the notion of being in a couple from a very young age and how that is the thing you do. And then once you start getting into that part of your life where you can get pregnant, then it's like everybody's afraid, like, don't even sneeze on a penis, you're gonna ruin your whole life. And it's like, wait, y'all was telling me ever since I was 5 that little one over there was my boyfriend and making that the penultimate thing for my life. And so I think that young women's focus does get placed on relationships very early, you know? And then you have to go through this unlearning of, wait a minute, what about the things I want to do?
Right. Exactly. It feels like you said, like we're conditioned that's the next part of life. It's like, okay, you get your husband, you have kids. And then maybe if you're lucky, you may be able to do things that you actually want to do. Because once you become a mother, society don't let you do anything other than that. Like you go to the club, you got kids. Yeah, like, you know, but if you're a dad, you can still have your regular life. Like nobody judges you. But as soon as you turn into a mom, it's like, okay, well now you focus on the kid. You really shouldn't even have a life outside of taking care of them.
As a matter of fact, can you cover up your breasts and can you also
that part?
You're someone's mother.
Girl, that's why I was like, but I'm excited because I feel like this new generation and like we're just kind of like breaking those barriers and we're not focusing as much on like what society wants us to do because society is fucked up. As we can see now, the rules that they put in place don't make no sense. So why are we listening to them?
Spoken like a great philosopher. Yes. Yes. So you moved out to Seattle for love. You were with a boo and, you know, moved on out here. Then, you know, what's that chapter of the story like? Because at some point you must have been like, I'm about to hit this stage. And that's when you're doing comedy, that's not for anybody else. You got to really love it for yourself. So what made you choose at that part of your life when you moved to Seattle to just like go for it?
Well, when I moved, I was like, first of all, I can be whoever I want to be because these people don't know me. I don't know nobody out here. The only person I knew was the guy that I was dating, my boyfriend at the time. So it's like really anything that I wanted to happen, I could just make happen. Because, you know, when you stay in the same place, it's real easy for people to think that they know you. Even if you did change, people will still bring up old things and, oh, you wasn't like that before. Oh, what happened to this, that. But it's like, I don't know these people and they don't know me. So when I show up, I can literally be whoever I want to be. And it was just like, okay, because even since I was little, I would always write jokes down. Like I said, I was a prankster. Like that's just what I do. That's how my mind works anyway. So I was just always writing down jokes. And I had this one goal to go to an open mic. And that's it. I was like, I'm just going to go to an open mic and just to get off my bucket list and just to say that I did it and let that be, you know, it just go from there. So I ended up, because there was a comedy club left and I literally lived right down the street from Lab. And so I was on the website because I saw that Hannibal Buress was going to be there. So I was like, oh, I would love to see him. I live right down the street from this place. And then I saw the class. And I was like, oh, this is cool. Because I'm the type of person, like, I like doing new things, but I like to see how it's done first. Like, I like to know the technical things. That way I could put my spin on it. And granted, I did see my mom and my family do it forever. But me taking that class also got me into knowing the owners of the club. So now they know who I am versus me just going up, you know, on a regular night to the open mic. It may have been harder for them to connect with me the way that they did with me going through the class. So went there, did the class. It was awesome. It was real natural. Everybody was like, oh, this is great. How long you been doing this? What you, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, this is like my first time. Like, granted, it's not my first time on stage, but it's my first time, you know, telling jokes in this manner, deliberately on stage for that reason. So once I did the class and I knew that we would have to have a graduation. So that just kind of marked off my open mic performance checklist, bucket list thing that I had. And then ever since then, it was just like, hey, like they literally called me the week after graduation. I was like, hey, such and such is putting together this show. They'll give you $40. I was like, okay. Like, sure.
I love it. I kept my first, I would have said, yeah, I got like $45 the first time I got paid. And I was like, I'm not going to spend this.
Damn.
I kept it. I just put it to the side. And I was like, somebody paid me to sell Joe. Yeah, it's in a drawer in my bedroom. I was like, awesome. I just want to remember that somebody was like, we'll give you money to go do this. I'm like, you will? And
right.
I work in corporate too, so I don't think they could really understand. It was like, ooh, how much did you get paid? I was like $40. That's what it is.
Yeah. And honestly, that's a lot in comedy, especially when you first get started out, because people will go years without getting paid anything. So $40 is a good amount. Like that's big money.
Stacks. So it stood out to me that you had the strategic foresight to even think about the relationship part of things. Because I think a lot of people just would assume, oh, you're just kind of going around from club to club trying to get stage time, but that requires actually knowing people in the scene. And so was it just a knowledge of how your mother and your uncle moved and to let you know, oh, I'm going to need to meet the people at the club and get to know them? Gave you that tune into the relationship part?
Yeah, it's like, for me, so nobody like actually knows this about me. Like, I think they can tell by how I do things, but I'm used to like feeling like VIP. Like, I'm the type of person, like, I feel like rules don't apply to me sometimes. Just because, like, from my childhood, like, my mom and my uncle would put on these big productions, and, you know, I'm the daughter, I'm the niece, I can slide backstage, I can do this. Like, I'm really in my head, like, I always have this thing, like, oh, I'm going to get around that. Oh, that don't apply to me. Like, that's just how I think sometimes. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, yeah, I need to know them. Because in general, relationships are important to me. Like, I'm like one of the people that's like, if we're friends or we know each other, because I'm always connecting other people together too. So I just think it's important to know who you're dealing with in the first place. But in my head, I'm like, oh, like, they're going to like me. Boom, now we know each other. And then with me going through their class, they're going to want to push me more because I went to their class. So then they can be like, see, she learned this from us. So like now that encourages other people to come to their comedy class. So yeah, it is. It's part of just growing up in a family that does entertainment, because it's like, oh, if you know this person, they're going to treat you a little special. Like, you know, if I know the manager of that club, he going to let me get in for free sometimes. If I know the person that's bartending, they going to give me free drinks. Like, now we have a relationship, now we're friends. It's a, you know, give and take type of thing. So that's just how my mind works anyway. I'm like, okay, so who do I need to know so that I can be special? Because I'm not
gonna do the regular.
Yeah, like
everybody needs a friend like that who is already thinking like, so what we not gonna do is just be in here like we not special. Like,
yeah,
everybody
like,
needs somebody giving that little push. So. Like, why would you just accept that? Why didn't you ask this? And, you know, people, you need that friend. Yes. I love that you also kind of that notion of making sure that they felt invested in you. Like, even putting that together, I feel like you're advanced level relationshiping.
Yeah.
I love it.
I be thinking in advance, like my mind is just naturally strategic like that. So I'm like, okay, so we start here. They gonna want this. I do this. Now we're like this. Then, because even when I would go to last, like they would, even if I'm not there for a show, I could bring a friend. We get it for free. I actually ended up seeing Hannibal Buress in the tickets, because I didn't buy a ticket because I signed up for the class. And then after signing up for the class, the tickets sold out, but I ended up being able to see him because I knew the owners of the club. So it just like was like full circle in that way. That's like, oh, like that's just how things work. And then when you're nice, that's really all you need to be. Like, and I'm naturally that nice. Like, I'm not like, you know, most of the time when I see somebody, I'm going to be nice to them off top. Unless they mean to me, then I can be mean. Like,
we can just, part, you know, it's a pick your adventure situation.
Yeah, it's up to you how you want to carry this out. But for the most part, I'm like, you know, if you're nice and sweet, people gonna want to do things for you.
Yeah, it's so true. When I first met you, I think we our paths crossed. Was it Ellen Aquario was doing a show?
Yeah.
She had asked for Black and brown women. She had asked for a certain type of performer to be, share the stage with her. And so I had known the folks at Labs as well. So they said, okay, let's talk to Keisha. So when they sent me the list of like who else was in the show, I was like, oh, they got my favorite thing on here. It's another Black girl. Yes. I got so excited. So excited. But there's apprehension because what I have found in at least the comedy scene is that people be awkward. Like, not because they're mean, just because they're awkward. And
awkward.
I'm very warm and I'm trying to come through with hugs and love and excitement. So I don't always assume that people are going to receive that energy and the excitement that I have for them. So I was like, but I'm reading and I'm like, she sounds real cool. So I'm trying to like just go in. I'm like, be cool, Keisha. Be cool. You're going to go introduce yourself to the upper Black girl. I'm pretty sure that when I saw you, I was just like, hey, like, I couldn't do it.
And that was really refreshing because, like you said, sometimes people be awkward, but then sometimes you have to, especially when you're like the only Black girl, it's only like two of y'all. Like sometimes the other Black girls don't be as friendly, and wanting the other Black girl to be around. Yeah. So when you came with that energy, I was like, oh yes, she's one of us. Like she's not one that, be all standoffish. Like, because especially in Seattle, when I see another Black girl, it's like, oh, come on, let's be friends. Like immediately, like, but not every Black person is like that. Some Black people just like to be the only Black person in the front. So I really love that when I met you, because the thing is, I had did some research on you too, because I saw that your name was like popping up around. I was like, oh, who's Keisha? Like, that's another Black girl. Like, so I was like, I already see your Instagram and stuff like that. So when I met you, I was like, oh, good. She's nice and sweet. And
yeah, we pretty much started snuggling immediately. So that happened. And then, so this brings me to the moment of like seeing the power of your relationships and your connective spirit and the way that you move. Because then when I came to see you host the show for Jackie Fabulous, I was already excited. Because I'm just like, first of all, it's a Black woman hosting a show, the Black woman headliner. Like this is one of my first like Black female comedy experiences in Seattle was that show. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going there just trying to enjoy and support. And then you come over with the like, if you want to be in the show, I'll put you in the show. I'm like, wait a minute, what? Pardon me? I can work it out. Let me know. You in? And I was like, I don't know, man. I just wasn't planning to go up tonight. And you hit me with it. If you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. So you ready or not? I'm like, dang, you can't say no after that. It's a challenge. You want to feel ready. So I thank you because that's the only time before the next Nekia Hampton production moment that I had been on the stage with two other Black women. I was just like floating that night. So thank you for inserting me and challenging me to stay ready. On the comedy front.
I'm so glad that you did because you crushed it and it just was nice. It's nice I want as many Black people on this stage as we can get. And you was there and I was like, oh yeah, bet. And so I'm glad that you was down because you could have been like, no, I'm not today. But
you're very persuasive. And then I'm gonna do it because when am I gonna do this again? When am I gonna get a chance to be on stage with two other Black women? I don't know. Mm-hmm. Little did I know, my next opportunity would be Nekia's like, I'm doing a show. How do we get from I'm doing comedy to now I'm producing shows?
Well, when I was in Seattle, like I just didn't like how white the rooms were. And granted, it's a lot of white people there, but I found the Black people. So I know that they exist. Like I know that they want comedy. I know, but it was very segregated in which like a lot of them didn't even know where to go. A lot of them didn't even know like what type of shows was happening. Like just the information was just not getting to the Black community. So it was one thing, like ever since I started in Seattle, I was like, all right, I want to have a Black show, like where it can be for us. And because my thing is like, I don't really change myself when I'm on stage. If it's Black people, white people, whatever, everybody's going to get the same, me. But I know, like, it's nice when you are talking to people who can actually relate to what you say.
Yeah.
You know, like sometimes white people will laugh because it's funny, but they never experienced it. So it's just like, oh, like it hit different when it's like people that's going through exactly what you're talking about, that's sitting in the audience. Like you can feel that laughter is just like a little bit deeper because they dealing with the shit at home right now. So I just was like, I want a show where we could all get together and we don't have to be uptight about it. We don't got to tiptoe. We can be as black as we want to. And it's for us. And if they want to come, they can come. But like, this is for us. So that was on my mind the whole time. And then my friend Arif, you know Arif.
I know Arif. Arif is he's the man down for the people.
He is. He's awesome. And I met him because when I first moved to Seattle, I was bartending. So I would be doing a lot of just like events at people's homes and just all types of stuff. So I would bartend with him at his spot. And then he had hit me up when I was started comedy. And he was like, hey, you know, if you want to use this space, you can, and you should, you know, put this show together. And I had already had those thoughts. But when he offered up his space, it was like, oh, okay. See, now that's the universe being like, okay, now really do it. Like, you say you wanted to do this. We're making it as easy as possible. Like, this man just came to you. You didn't have to go to him. He just came up to you and said, use this space. So now what? Like, what's stopping you now? So that's just kind of where I was at with it. I was like, all right, bet. Like, I got a space. I know people that's going to want to be down. There's nothing else to it now. Now it just has to happen.
Yeah. I mean, you not only a space, but I call that a revolutionary space. Because the location we're talking about, the Union in Seattle, Arif and his crew chosen a location that's like the heart of downtown Seattle. And it's a black space with black art, with black mission statement, lots of community development, you know, just education for the community. Just so much is going on. That's all about the enrichment of black people. And it's bold. I love that he went to say, we belong right here in the heart of the city. So I love
right
that,
in the city.
Right in the heart. And I love that you chose a revolutionary black space to do an all black showcase headlined by the black woman producer of the show. It was just an empowering experience. So I love just everybody that was involved in that and the whole vibe. That was, thank you for putting that energy into the Seattle atmosphere.
Thank you. I was so nervous. I was like, nobody's gonna come, blah, blah. Like, you know, like it was just fear, just like talking. It was my first show. Like, and it's funny because I had been in events pretty much my whole life. Like I've been doing marketing events. I used to be a wedding planner assistant. Like I'm used to putting events together for other people. So I knew exactly what to do, but I'm just like, it's scary, you know, it's scary to put yourself out there like that. But I had already been doing it, and it's just kind of like the universe is like, listen, this needs to happen. It's already working itself out. Just do your part. We'll take care of everything else. And it just flowed. Like I wasn't expecting that many people to come. And it's crazy because the tickets literally went from like 15 tickets sold to like the next day it was like oversold. And then people still trying to come in at the door, like the space is packed. Like, I'm like, wow, like y'all really came out, and it was a very magical night. Like that was probably the highlight of my whole existence in Seattle, was being able to have that with all of y'all and y'all being down, and it was magical. Like it was what I needed to kind of cement that, like, yo, this is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. And there's so much magic in that decision to just create yourself because, you know, as I mentioned when I was, you know, reading about you, that whole notion of not asking for permission. I do think that there are so many people that just have bought into this idea that someone else got to slot you into something. Someone else is doing something. And whatever it is that you love, you need to be appealing to someone to let you do it. And generally speaking, most things that people are good at, they could probably find a way to make a space for themselves to do it. But I think that not everybody thinks like that. Like, how did you get to a place where you were like, I can just do it if I want it?
It stems from my mom because she's always been, I'm gonna do it myself. Like she's always been creative. She's always hands on. And so I just kind of grew up seeing people do stuff for themselves. Like I said, my uncle, he writes plays, he put on productions, full productions, weeks long things all the time. So it just was like, oh, like you don't have to, and especially if you already have the resources. And that's kind of where I was at. I'm like, I'm in this new city. I don't know anybody. Fast forward 2-3 years. Now I know people. Now I have resources. Now I have spots. And Reese wasn't the only one to offer up a space for me to do the show. But when he asked, it was like, okay, this feels right. Like when I walked in there, it felt like I had already been there before and I could see it happening. And so when he asked, I was like, okay, yeah, like this is exactly the way that it's supposed to happen. So really it's just that confidence of being like, if I'm not going to do it, it's not going to get done. And that's kind of how I feel in general. Like, I don't ever feel like I'm in competition with other people because what I can do, like what I make, only I can do that.
Yes.
Nobody else can be me. And I don't want to be anybody else. So it's like, if I don't do these things, they'll never happen. So that's my choice to be like, all right, well, I guess they won't happen, or, boss up and be like, let's get it done.
Right.
And that's just kind of what it was. It's like, you don't have no excuse not to do it now.
When you mentioned that other spaces had offered themselves to you, but that one spoke to you, those people spoke to you, there is some empowerment and some self-care involved in doing things in places and with people that you feel most comfortable with.
Yeah.
I feel like there's so many situations that people, but I'm going to focus on us as women. We get put in situations where we have to like make a call. Am I going to have to compromise my safety a little bit or feel a little unsafe? Or am I going to feel a little quieted? Or what am I willing to give up for an opportunity?
That.
But there is some power in deciding this space here or this person here feels in alignment with how I'm trying to operate. And I'm going to decide not to do these things that take a little piece of me and put it in a place that is not healthy. And I'm going to go this way. So is that an intuitive thing for you? Or is that intentional Nekia protection, Nekia self-care operations going on?
That's that intuition and discernment. That's walking in a space and feeling it out and not even saying nothing, but just being like, like, how does this feel? Because I'm very intentional about everything that I do, especially productions that I put on. And that's why I haven't been really moving lately, because it's like I see people doing shows, but I'm like, I don't feel comfortable doing a show right now. I would love to, that was my plan in February. I was going to do these every month. But now it's like, I do comedy because I like to see people laugh and I like to make them feel good. It's not about me getting attention. I can get attention anyway. I like attention.
Hello. Yes.
But that's not why I do stand up. So for me, when I see like other people like still doing shows in like small spaces and stuff like that, I just feel like, well, you putting people's lives in jeopardy. And that's the last thing that I want to do at a show. If anything, you about to have a out of body experience where we're not even on earth right now, where we in a whole different place and we're not even worried about stuff like that. So it's a lot of discernment, and that comes with, practice. Like there were a lot of times where I put myself in situations that I knew was wrong, but I wasn't able to get out of them because I was afraid, or maybe I was dealing with some other stuff and I didn't feel like I could speak up. But now as an adult and have been through all the things that I've been through, I'm very particular about who I work with, where I work. In comedy, everybody's like, well, you just need to keep getting on stage. That's the thing. Any stage is a good thing. I don't feel that way.
No.
I don't feel that way at all. Like, it's certain people that I won't work with. I don't care who they know. I don't care what it is. Like, if my soul and if our vibe's not vibing and you not, and I don't feel like you a good person, or I don't really mess with how you moving, then I'm not doing it. I don't think all money, all money is not good money. I don't need it that bad. I don't need anything that bad. I'm not willing to, like you said, like sacrifice. I'm not willing to sacrifice my peace of mind, like at all. Like that's just where I'm at with it. And then with COVID, that just got pushed 10 times because now it's like we ain't even supposed to be mixing with everybody. Yeah. So I'm definitely ain't about to just see anybody and be up in spaces and have people. That's big. Like you have to be real careful about what you allow in your space because, like I said, like I do comedy to help other people with their situations. So that's helping people is the first thing on my mind. Not making money. I can make money. Money comes all the time. But if I feel like the space or the person that owns the space or a person that may even be on the show is not like aligned with that, then bye.
And if you are really putting yourself in a situation where you're with people who's just not moving the way you move, you can really just really upset yourself on purpose for a very small amount of money. And it's just not worth it. And I think that being visible doing something like this, there's a lot of expectations. So when COVID and quarantine and all this stuff happened, I feel like I almost immediately started getting hit by people for digital productions and stuff. And they're like, all right, we're trying to reframe and we're trying to do this. And you want to do this virtual show and these things. And as much as I missed comedy, I was just like, I got to make a decision for Keisha, for me. Do I have energy, headspace to like pivot and try to find any way to still be visible in comedy right now? And I was like, I just personally don't have it to try to reconceive my comedy career or whatever online right now. I have a ton of other things I'm doing, and it kind of doesn't matter what you expected.
I don't force things. If it don't feel right, I'm not doing it. I don't care who sent it. I don't care who said what. If I don't think it feels right for me, then it's not happening. Then you're not going to get me here, and that just is what it is. So,
period.
I feel you. Like I don't feel like I owe anybody anything. Like I'm doing this because it's a way to express myself. When I find other ways to express myself, then I'll do that. But right now, I'm just trying to stay sane.
Yeah. I think it's a constant need to be producing and like putting something out there for the people. And I'm very much like you. I'm thinking, am I helping somebody in a time where help is needed? Because that's kind of like right now, I feel like people need some nutrition. They need help. And I don't feel like what I need to be doing is trying to like craft a set because my energy is needed in so many places that, I'm gonna let the people who got it go do that. And it's okay. Yeah. It's like, it's gotta come from inside what you feel is best for you. And if you're, I would say it's to any young person who's feeling like, but I'm not legit if I don't keep going. It's like, you legit if you're taking care of yourself. That's all you gotta do.
Like, I feel like it's like being any other type of artist. Like, you can take breaks and that's okay.
Yes.
I'm on unemployment right now. And this is like the first time in my life since I started working at 15 that I've been able to take care of myself and not work. And I don't want to work right now. Who wants to work in the middle of a pandemic? Like, if you have the means to not be able to do that, like, I'm resting. I'm in bed, like, most of the time. And I'm okay with that. And at first I was tired. It was tough because it's like, as humans, and especially as Black women, like sometimes we really feel like our value comes from what we can do for other people. So when you resting, especially Black people, like, you resting on the couch, you might be like, what you doing? Clean thing. Do that. Why you
laying down?
Yeah, like, it's really not okay for us to rest. Like, a lot of people have it in their head that that's like, yo, that's not cool. But I'm going to rest. I'm going to take a nap. I'm going to sleep because that's what I have to do. Like, that's just, I do what my body needs. Again, I don't force anything. I'm not going to, I work hard, but I work smart. So if it's an easier way to do something, then I'll do that. If it's something that I could do from my bed and still get money and still do whatever I need to do and take care of myself, That's what I'm gonna go with. Why would I make it harder for myself just to prove things to other people?
Yeah, to prove that you got that grit.
Yeah,
this is my least favorite saying. I think this comes from the church when they say, try to, as a compliment, they say she's long suffering. And I'm like, when did that become a compliment? I was like, do people hear what they're saying? Long suffering is like a sign of like a good woman in some circles. And I'm just like, I need you to pause.
Yeah.
I need you to pause and hear what has been said. We're not doing that anymore. Look at your cheeks. Look at your glow. You look supple and glowing. You look like you take naps, Nekia.
Yes. I take care of myself. I get facials now. My homegirl, she is a esthetician. However, I don't know how you say it. But she gives me facials. I'm in therapy. I'm fucking working out my problems. I don't give a fuck what anybody else is doing, but I'm worried about myself. Like, that's what I need. I don't have no kids. Like, this may be the only time in my life that I'm able to do this. So I'm gonna fucking rest.
It's very true. Once you do, the kids come. We talked about this. Things shift so much because you made a whole person. You got to keep them alive and nurture them, help them be who they're gonna be, and then you slot yourself in as you can make it work out. I feel very fortunate that I have designed my relationship with my child where she also cares if I'm okay, where I'm not just like a worker bee for her in her life. And then because I ended up getting divorced in the co-parenting situation when she is with him, like it's a whole different ballgame now. So I get alone time. I get like several days in a row where I'm here by myself. I was like, man, I'm gonna miss my kid. But also like, whoa, I just got something back that is incredibly valuable, which is time with myself.
Yes. I remember you had posted something about you were drinking champagne on like a Tuesday morning. I was like, yes!
I think I had it with some nachos, girl. I was like,
yes.
What are we going to do today? Is have beautiful nachos with a glass of bubbly for breakfast.
Yes.
And I ate that. I think I was in like a silky robe. And I just be in here lighting candles and holding gemstones and just replenishing myself, taking naps in the middle of the day. And it's almost like you get ready to feel guilty. You're like, I shouldn't be this delighted while my baby is here because I love my child so much. But at the end of the day, that phrase, at the end of the day, what happens if we go to sleep? At the end of the day, I am so much healthier because I really need that time to think about what do I want to be doing? Like, I don't want to just go to like my corporate job and make her some macaroni and cheese, help her with her schoolwork and put her to bed and then lather, rinse, repeat, do the same thing the next day. I need this space for my creative outlets.
And that helps her seeing you take care of yourself in that way because now she's growing up like and thinking that's normal. And I feel like that's where, that's why we have the guilt around it now because we never saw nobody relaxing. Like what you said about long suffering, that's a compliment for Black people. They don't say that about white women.
They sure don't.
They don't say that about white women.
I've never heard somebody say long suffering as a compliment to a white woman.
Never. But for us, she's strong. She works so hard. She take care of everything. That's why we. No, I'm taking care of myself, and I'm resting, and I'm not working hard. So now what?
So now what?
Now what?
What's your comment? And I don't care that you're displeased with me laying here.
Don't care. Because guess what? Bills still paid. I'm still eating good, and I'm rested, and I'm sleeping. Like, and I'm happy.
So what? I love it.
Like,
I was thinking about that when you were talking about watching your mother, because my daughter is she's 9 right now. She's very vocal about what she thinks of the fact that I do comedy, and I hear her impressions of all those things. And just any of the things that I'm doing, I always expose her and involve her. So she's seeing a lot. And I was thinking about that when you were talking about you watching your mom. And I was like, my baby is going to come to her power sooner in life than I did. She's going to come to it Nekia style. Like, she's going to be giving people the so what in her 20s. Like, it's going to be so cool to be that to somebody else.
Yeah. she's going to be a badass. And it's because you are doing what you need to do for yourself first. It's like, I know people that, because I was even like having this conversation with my friend the other day, and we talk about like, you know, how we need to take care of everything. And I'm real family oriented, but at the end of the day, you can't help nobody if you don't have it yourself. So you pouring into other people, and now it's just like when you on a plane and they tell you put your mask on first, and then you put other people's masks on. Because when you put your mask on first of all, now you can help other people faster because you did it for yourself. And that's where I'm at in life. I'm like, I know that there are things that I need to do so that I can be the best version of myself. And that comes from being selfish. That comes from like, okay, maybe I can't hang with this person no more because they're not aligning with who I am now. And that's a lot of things that I deal with moving back home.
Yes, you're back in Baltimore now.
Back in Baltimore. So, you know, I'm different, but you go back home and you're in the same spaces that you were before. And sometimes people expect you to be that same person. And sometimes you kind of can like slide back into that same person. But it's like, no, like I worked too hard to become who I am now within myself to let that slide for anybody else. And if that means that I'm being selfish and I'm putting myself first, then that's just going to be what it is. Because I'm no good to anybody if I don't have what I need first.
Yeah, absolutely. It is, and you can barely even decide what it is you need from your relationships with other people if you don't kind of know yourself and allow yourself to be who your whole spirit is trying to be. You keep squashing it. You're like, no, it's okay. Let me go ahead and keep hanging with this person. I don't want to hurt their feelings, or let me go ahead and do this thing. I don't want to say no, or I should just say yeah. I mean, what is it going to take? Like, you know, a couple hours. There's a couple hours that you put yourself aside to take care of somebody else's needs ahead of yours. And that's a no. I want so much for young women to learn sooner than later that it is okay to not do something because you just don't want to do it.
Yep.
No other reason is needed. You can share with someone in some graceful and kind way why you're not going to do it if you would like to. But I want them to know that it's enough that you just in yourself are like, nah, I don't want to. That's okay.
That's so powerful. Like learning to say no is, and it's funny because I've always had boundaries, even as a kid. Like it would be certain things that my family want me to do, and like I just was like, I don't want to do that. And my sister always laughed at me because she's like, you didn't have to do a lot of stuff because you said no. How you know how to do that? And so that's just kind of naturally a part of me. And I'm like, I don't really feel like doing this. And then being okay with, you know, if somebody feel a way about it. It's like, okay, but I'd rather you be upset than me be upset at myself.
Yes. I got to go into the dark night with me. That's what happens at the end of the day. At the end of the day, I'm in the room by myself, turning off that light, and it's still nagging me like, you know, you didn't really want to do it. You know, you didn't really want to do it, and you did it anyway. And now you're just eating at yourself when you're just with your own thoughts. I would much rather the other person be like, man, she just pissed off. She ain't do it. That's fair.
Right. And now you figure out how to do it yourself.
You go figure it out.
I love that. I love that at the end of the day, because that's one thing that I gauge all my decisions around. It's like, am I going to be able to sleep at night if I do this? Am I going to be able to, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, my peace of mind is very important. So at the end of the day, like you said, it's just me and myself in the bed. I want to make sure that everything that I did that day was because I wanted to do it. And then now me and myself sleeping peacefully and without a care in the world.
Getting ready for nachos and champagne in the morning. So we talked about a lot of things that were very important to you. And just along that, we talked about all these Black spaces and Black experiences that you like to create. Why do you prioritize Black people and Black experiences?
I'm Black, but also it's natural for me because of how I was raised to want to celebrate people that look like me, because I already feel like we don't get celebrated enough.
Yeah.
Like the world is not. I remember when I was younger, my mom was like teaching us about all the things that happened. I didn't even think it was real. I was like, there's no way that people could be that evil and hatred. Like, it's no way. But then it's like, no, that's really real life. And so it's kind of like my mission in life to uplift younger Black girls that look like me, or, you know, that Black girls, period. Like, there was a long time where I was very self-conscious about my nose because it's wide and it's big and it's Black. And even my lips used to get teased about that as a kid. And now it's like, I don't want young girls to go through that. Like, I don't want them to feel ashamed for anything, any way that they was born. I feel like, to me now, it's disrespectful, even when I had those thoughts, to be like, no, because I was made this way on purpose. Like, I have these features because of my ancestors. So me saying that I'm ugly is like saying that they ugly. And that ain't cool. So it's just like, I really don't, you know, I want to help other people celebrate their Blackness, because people try to make us feel bad for it all the time. And the crazy thing is, they make us feel bad because they don't have it like us. Y'all want to be like us. Y'all steal everything from us and make us feel bad because we got it naturally like that. Like, that's that trickery that they do. And it's like, I just want to, whatever I do in life, even if I'm not a comedian forever or whatever I choose to do, I'm always going to be the token spokesperson for Black girls. And I'm never going to put them down, because, you know, not everybody, you can't save everybody. Not everybody's always going to be on board. But I still love them. You know, I love them. I love the collective. And if you down, you down. But that's just who I am naturally. It's like, I want people to feel good about who they are and not feel like they have to change, because that's what they try to make us do forever.
That's where our missions in life will always intersect. I want so many of the same things that you just said for our young people, especially young Black girls, for so many of the same reasons that you just said. So you will always find a comrade in that work right here with me. With that, I would love to hear about another Black girl or woman who has inspired you or who has influenced your life. We talk so much about your mother. You could just, you know, double click on that, or you could give me a whole nother Black girl.
Well, I'm going to talk about Angel Anderson of the Spice Suite. She owns a spice shop. It's located in DC. She is another all Black everything. Like, for real. Like, she's really about that life. She used to be a principal, so she was working with kids. She does volunteer work in the prison. She's like really on the ground running things. But then she also has this shop that, first of all, everything sells out all the time. Like, she just reopened, was that first week in September. And me and my best friend stood in line for like 3 hours to get in there.
Wow.
And everybody was patient. Everybody was cool, because you know that you're supporting somebody that supports us. So it's like, you get it back. I don't care how much I spend in there. Every time I go in there, I spend like $100. Like, and I'm fine with that, because I know that, like, it's going to a real person who really cares about the community. And she has these Black women business owners, and they're called the Spice Girls, and they do pop-ups in the store. So while you're in there looking for your spices and everything, there's also handmade soaps and jewelry and clothing and treats and desserts and whatever the case may be. And they're all Black women, and it's very powerful. And she is amazing. She also throws the best parties ever. Like, and she cooks her ass off. So she's like one of my favorite Black women right now.
Oh my goodness. This sounds like heaven for me. I want to be in the shop with all of these Black women business owners.
We would love it. I'm surprised. Like, I need to send you her Instagram anyway. I thought that you would already know. Like, that's how, like, she would align really well with you. Like, you would love it.
I didn't mention to you that I was going to ask you this, but I'm pretty sure we can go with it. I would love to hear about other Black female comedians that you enjoy.
Well, of course you. I think you're amazing.
That wasn't a setup, but okay, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Trying to like.
There's two people that's on my brain right now. So while you thinking, I would talk about these two people.
Mm-hmm.
One of them, I won't even say someone I enjoy. It's just someone I want people to remember. So I want to say her name, Moms Mabley. I just want to say it and have people research and realize how long we've been in this comedy game. She is amazing, dope, taking no shorts type of woman. I'm probably going to spend some time this weekend seeing what Moms Mabley things I can find, because now I'm just hopped up on Black Girl Comedian Energy.
Yeah.
And then one of my homeboys put me on to a young woman named Carrie Cadet. She's out of New York, I think in Brooklyn. And I think that she is so dope because she's like, I call her the crowd work queen. Like she gives props to her own crowd work. Like I just love her stage presence. I enjoy her, and I want more people to know about Carrie Cadet. So that's another Black girl in comedy that I would love to shout out, in addition to my extended shout out here of Nekia Hampton, who I also think is hilarious.
Yes. Well, the first one that, somebody that just popped in my head when you said that, her name is Sydney Washington. I believe she lives in New York, and I saw her show in Philly right before COVID happened. But she's very funny, and like she talks a lot about her life. She gets really personal. And that's one thing that, like, it's certain things that I was okay with talking about on stage, but it's a whole nother, like, part of me that nobody really knows, that I know at some point I'm going to have to be vulnerable enough to share that, because you don't know who you can set free when you talk about those kind of things. Yeah. But it's just like, for me, it's baby steps, because I'm already like, I don't like being vulnerable in the first place. But when I saw her get on stage and she talked a lot about, not really having her parents in her life. She talked about like how she accidentally burned down her grandmother's house. Ooh. And just like all these things that like were tragedies that she turned into a living. And that's the type of stuff that I appreciate, because it's like sometimes it's easy to focus on the bad things that you've been through in life and be like, oh my God, like why did that have to happen to me? Why, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, for me, at least, I know that all the things that happened to me, I wouldn't be who I am now had I not went through those things. So playing like alchemist a little bit and being like, yo, let me take these past hurtful, traumatic situations and turn them into something that could help other people too. And I feel like that's what Sydney does well. So she's one that I want to shout out.
Beautiful. All right. Look, I have had you on this Zoom for quite a while. I'm gonna release you, but this is my opportunity to give love.
Let's do a part 2 soon.
We're gonna have to, because even when you just said that, I was like, it's more I want to say about the discomfort between like telling stories and not feeling like I'm telling other people's stories, but wanting to say so much. Like we got other things to talk about. Yeah, but this is just an example of just why I enjoy you so much. I just don't know what it was. I'm sad for everybody out there who's like, yeah, no new friends. Because look, I just met you 2 years ago or something like that. And I'm just like, I just adore this woman. We don't be hanging out and doing whatever, but I'm just like, the energy and the newness of you is just a beautiful, beautiful being on this planet. And I think you're fantastic. And I feel lucky that I met you when I did, because I was right for that kind of like fuel in my tank to be like, stay ready. What would Nekia say? Nekia would just go get it done. Or she would gas me up and be like, that is a great idea. And yes. And so you're going to do it, right? Like, I just love having people with that spirit around. So I just want to tell you, since I have you here, I just appreciate you so much. So thank you.
Thank you. I feel like we're connected for life. Like you said, like we don't talk every day. We don't need to. Like the energy is always there. Like we could go 3 years and see each other randomly. And
there would be a scream on the street.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so grateful that I met you as well, because it was like, woo, dealing in Seattle and being the only Black woman. So I was just so relieved to see you, and I'm so proud of you. And I still think about when you interviewed Will Smith. I just think that's amazing. So I'm just happy that we are connected, and I can't wait to see what else you do, because you are amazing.
I want to make sure that the people who want to support you stay in touch and know what's next for you and where you're going to take things when, you know, when your creative inspiration hits, or in COVID, whatever. Just where can the people who want to get the Nekia Hampton energy, where can they find you online?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Petty Betty, PEDDYBETTY, and that's kind of where I'm just vibing right now. And then we'll see as we go along. But if you want the energy, it's the same energy online.
You posted something the other day, and I was just like, I love this girl. I love her. And I'm like, I was about to just like say something. I'm like, let me just wait, because I'm about to talk to her in a minute. But it was like two pictures of you and homegirls, and y'all was just, you was like, for just because. And I was like, and that's all we needed was for you to
that's it.
Do that, because we needed to see it. Thank you. That Petty Betty account brings me joy. Thank you for posting your randomness and your wonderfulness.
Thank you for having me. This is so awesome. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Beautiful. All right, everybody. That has been another Black girl that I adore. Please join me back here when I highlight the passions and pursuits of yet another Black girl in the world that I think is amazing. Bye, y'all.
Bye.